Hey everybody, welcome to the InPsight Show. I am your host, Danielle Egnew, and you are a fly on the wall to everywhere, guys. I hope you are doing fantastic today, and I know I am, because I literally have one of my besties on the show today. She has been on the show multiple times over these 9 seasons, and I'm so excited to get her in between her travels. It's hard to catch her home for this beautiful interview, guys. As you can see next to me, this is Marcia Culver, and before we get started, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Marcia, guys, okay? So Marcia received her training in scientific massage and neuromuscular therapy. Yeah, too bad she's not smarter, right? Through the Montana Institute of Massage Therapy in Billings. After graduating at the top of her class, gang, she began teaching for the same school, and she got certified as a Reiki master through the InPsight tradition and is registered with the International Center for Reiki Training. She's not boring, guys. She's also a hypnotist through Omni Hypnosis Training of Washington, D.C. And then she went on to get certified in Heart Method, combining hypnosis and the techniques of EMDR. And I love this part. She continues to receive information about massage therapy, natural healing, reflexology, and more through her solo practice as a master massage therapist and hypnotist. And as that were not enough, she's actually, guys, an astrologer. She studied under Omi Preheim and continues education as a member of the Organization of Professional Astrologers. But mostly, you are going to find my pal Marcia rambling around this country, bringing healing and bringing joy through a magnificent healing prowess of her voice. So, hi, Marcia.
Hi.
Isn't it always fun?
Introduction, thank you.
Oh, yes.
I have to live up to it.
Well, girl, I mean, you do. That's why you're here.
Yay.
So, yes. No, girl, you have been all over the place. And when I was telling everybody who's listening in or watching that it is really hard to get you here, that's not a lie. I mean, you travel everywhere around the United States. And the thing that I love about you, Marcia, is that you don't pigeonhole yourself. You know what I mean? Like so many people in the metaphysical community, girl, you know, they got to be like the medium or they have to be the psychic and whatever, man. I'm throwing no shade on anybody. You do it all. You're comfortable doing it all. You've done it all since I met you a million years ago, since we were both in a high school musical together. The Music Man. I mean, wow. So, I mean, and you've always been this incredible person who just does not shy away from learning. How do you champion some of these things that you've gone into without getting intimidated about it?
Oh, honey. I am definitely, there's always fear behind the courage.
Okay, fair. Yes.
But I do, I always strive to do my best, you know, and I bring that to everything that I put on the table or that I try to take on. So I feel like even though I'm a Capricorn, Taurus, you know, we all take things on by the horns, right?
Yes. Oh, and you do, girl. There's no lie there. You do. Yes.
So, yeah. So pushing through the fear is what it's all about for me. You know, I don't think I have all the normal fears. I have the fear of getting on stage, and I just did everything in my power to get over that. In fact, when I first started singing for people, it was only while I had them face down, and then it was all. I
would just like to put a pin in that for just a second. Face down on the massage table, you guys. She wasn't just tackling people in the kidneys going, I'm going to sing for you, eat dirt. I mean, face down on the massage table, using your voice to heal, right?
Right, yes. Sorry about that. I forget that, we aren't talking between ourselves.
It's okay.
So,
It's
and then
just fine.
I got to where I could have them face up on the massage table, but I was behind them all the time. And then I finally, when we ran into each other and reconnected,
Yep.
I call that my coming out of the closet day, because I was only do it in my little tiny healing space, So
Aww.
that day we did a big expo in Billings, and I did it out in the open in front of people without having massage as the the reason why people were there, I guess. So
Okay.
it was super fun for me. I knew 7 whole songs, and I sang all day long.
Wow. Well, okay.
So
So here's something that's interesting there. I would never in a million years, girl, for as long as I've known you, thought you had stage fright, because you will just rip out a song in the middle of a crowd. You'll rip out a song. You'll wander around Ren fairs, be singing. And gang, why are we talking about Marcia singing? We're talking about Marcia singing because she uses her voice in a tonal therapy capacity, really, to be able to sing for people and allow people to really get into a space and allow those tones to go through the body. And this is what shaman did forever, right? Like through all of these different indigenous and world cultures.
yeah, they did. And I went to Ireland to try to figure out if people used the music the same way, and I didn't find anybody that did that. And there might be some now, but that's where I felt like it came from.
Sure.
And I realized it might have been more Scotland, but still,
Scotland.
that whole area.
Well,
So,
now let's talk about the Celtic regions for a minute, because one of the things that you do, one of the many things that you do, is connect with the elemental kingdom. And for people watching who have no idea what the freaking elemental kingdom is, the elemental kingdom is basically God's middle management for nature, universe's middle management for nature. And what we encounter in the elemental kingdom are the fae, the fairies, the Sita, the people of the hills. Lewis and Clark wrote about working with native people in Montana. Our First Nations peoples wouldn't even go certain directions that Lewis and Clark wanted to go, because they said that these are the people of the mountains and they're these little demon things, and they'll shoot you with these tiny arrows, like, geez, all the way like 300 yards. They'll nail you. And Lewis and Clark thought they were crazy. They documented these little people as demons. I'm looking at Big Pryor Mountain right now out this great big window behind my desk that I'm doing the show from. And Marcia, there's actual what the Crow Nation calls little people up there. And we've got a lot of experience in this part of South Central Montana with elementals. So when you're talking about Scotland, Ireland, and you're talking about going and singing, we're also talking about a culture that's very connected to tonal cultures, to vibration, and to the elemental kingdom. So tell us about some of the work that I happen to know that you've done, but tell everybody else, because they're not a creepy stalker like I am on your life every day. So on Facebook, what's Marcia doing? We're both traveling so much. I don't know what she's doing. Tell everybody what it's like to work with the elemental kingdom and what that's about.
Oh, it's super fun. And everywhere I go, I'm working with them. So I did go over to Ireland. The Earth has a grid with what's called ley lines on it, and where those ley lines intersect is called a port key. And I went out to Ireland to work on a port key and to open that energy back up so that it was flowing correctly. And everything is connected, of course. So even when you go up into the let's see, on the other side of the river from the Pryor Mountains, up onto the plateau up there, and see the medicine wheel, that is connected to everything in Ireland.
Up there on the medicine wheel and the bighorns is connected to Wow. And for people who don't know where the Bighorn Mountains is, most of them are in, if not all of them, are in Wyoming.
Right. Yes. Yes. But I find it fascinating that, I could connect with the energy with Ireland, just off the coast of Ireland, on Skellig Michael Island, and connect it all the way to Montana. So
Yeah.
that's just
Well,
fabulous
now
to me.
you've done, it is fabulous. You've done a lot of work in Florida too, right? You
Yeah.
go down there and do
Mhm.
work in Florida. So I've noticed with Florida, because we're talking world ley lines, we're talking elemental kingdoms, world energies, natural energies. At the tip of Florida, there's a huge port key where 5 global ley lines in the water down by the keys intersect. Did you feel anything when you were down in Florida energetically from the land?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I spend a lot of time on Siesta Key Beach in Sarasota. Boy, I have to give myself a minute to connect and reconnect and talk about all these things. But so working out of Sarasota is very interesting in that that beach is over 95% quartz crystal.
Oh,
So
wow.
there is so much energy there, such pure energy, and I have not specifically worked with that port key, but now that I know,
Oh,
I
yeah.
will
Yep.
be working with it consciously. Now, the fact that I was down there was probably, I do a lot of this subconsciously, because my guides are telling me to go different places and I just listen and I do the things.
Right.
So, um, when I am asked to stop at a certain place all the way across the country, I will stop, and I might be guided to a cemetery, or I might be guided to a national park or a state park. I was stopped at one time to there was this little tiny state park that might have been an acre.
Oh,
But
my
on that
God.
acre was this old mill, and I was called to stop at that mill and sing for the people there, sing for the people
Aw.
that got killed in that mill. So, it's
Oh,
all the way across the country. And in that, there are our own, when we do that kind of thing, there are our own energetic lines that
yeah.
connect up with the whole grid. So and like being in places like Gettysburg,
Oh, my God. Yep.
um, when I was 7, I remember really, I always reconnect or really connect with the elementals and the fairies and all that.
Sure.
And I can feel the fairies around, but I can also I can smell gunpowder and I can smell blood. And I was like,
Ugh.
so I asked an adult, should I be able to smell this? And he said, no. Like,
Well, that's a little
no,
strange,
little
little
crazy
girl.
child, you should not.
It's a little weird, little girl. Oh, man.
So, I learned to shut up. But
Well, how old were
I
you?
also
Marcia, how
knew
old were you? How
I
old
was
were you when
7.
you had that? 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your earliest memory of experiencing something that others around you in the adult realm were not experiencing?
Um, the one that well, I think several showed up in the same year that I can actually remember. So I think I was about 5, 4 or 5,
Nice.
somewhere in there. My one was my grandpa died, and he came to me, and I was talking to him on the side of my bed, and I know that sounds kind of cliche, but he was there, and I knew
No.
that he was there, and then I told my mom that granddad had come and visited me, and she said nope,
Oh,
and
man.
then got this worried look on her face like, oh my god, we got to take her to the hospital. And
Oh, she's losing it.
yeah,
Yep.
and then they got the phone call that he had actually passed, and
Oh, wow.
then she sat me down, both of them sat me down and said, you can't talk about things like this. And
And thus began the therapy.
right.
For all
And
of
then
we
I
Gen
started
Xers, all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just you, girl. I'm talking a generation, but keep going.
Excellent. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I didn't tell them about the things like I watched my great uncle who drank Boilermakers all the time take his shot, and then while he was taking a drink of his beer, this other thing looked at me, turned and
Oh,
looked at me.
God. Like inside of his body, like it turned on the side of his face,
Right,
kind of.
right.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
disturbing.
And
God.
when you're so young, yeah,
Ugh.
and you can't talk about it with anybody because they're so afraid that you're crazy.
Aw.
That was really hard for me to process. So I didn't even remember that happened until years later, years and years later, like in my 50s.
Well, I mean, who wants to
Early
remember
50s.
your uncle like having a twisty, weird ghost face on the side of his face, this inhuman thing looking at you? Nobody wants to remember that. So
Right.
you're
Yeah.
you're telling this story, and my guess is there's quite a few people that are watching this and listening to this podcast saying, I saw stuff when I was a kid. And I felt things as a child and I shut up about it, or my grandma or sister or mom or dad, a brother said you can't say this to people. What would you say to people out there who might have had this same experience?
Don't doubt yourself. These
Yeah.
things, there are so many people now that experience these things that they can't not be real, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
I
Sure.
mean, I don't think that we all have a how would you say that? Like a group hallucination
A
and
collective
have it be the same
hallucination?
thing.
No, we sure don't. We sure don't have. I mean, look, what
Yeah.
are we doing? I'm sorry, I'm picking. You're talking about this, and there is something just poking me in the left eye. And there's nothing there. It's just something poking me in the eye. If you're wondering why I'm fussing, for those watching the podcast on video, you can see me fussing with my face. And so you're talking about this, and I got something, and I'm like, God, there's nothing. Quit poking me in the eye, God. Um, and sometimes when you get together with another channel and you start talking about things that are difficult or whatever, little things come
Right.
around and try to get your attention. So I'm sorry, Marcia, please continue. I was not trying to steal the stage from you. I was just explaining what I was doing if anybody's watching this on video. So you would say to people, don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt yourself. Trust what you're feeling.
Don't take yourself to the hospital when you start experiencing these things again either.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
find that lots and lots of people decide that they're crazy on their own because they start experiencing things,
Oh, man.
and I'm sure you've run into this where somebody comes in to get a reading and says, "Oh my God, I think I'm going crazy."
Yeah.
I took myself into the hospital. They took me
Yeah.
into here. It's 2 North,
Yeah.
and I just think that I'm losing it. And actually, I will tell you that I thought I was losing it for a while too, because there was so much that I was experiencing all at the same time, and it just came like a flood at me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it does. When it comes on,
does.
it comes on. Yes.
Yeah. So just believe in yourself. Write the things down. See what you experience a year later, See how much you've grown a year later, because it's
Yeah.
super cool.
Well, that's true, right, man? I mean, if we just allow ourselves to not persecute ourselves. And I was thinking about this the other day. I'm working on this book right now, and I was right in the middle of this chapter about how we really gaslight ourselves for a million different reasons. And one of the things that you're saying is that you really had a lot of personal struggles to accept. I'm not even going to say who you are, because who we are changes from, decade to decade, from year to year.
Yeah.
It sounds like you really did have a moment of wrestling with your own acceptance about what you are. And when would you say, was this a gradual process of you coming to peace with your gifts and how you experience them? Or did it just kind of one day you're like, screw this, I'm actually cool and everybody can eat my dust?
it was a very gradual thing, and I got helped along the way. And one of those people was you.
Aw.
When Danielle was moving back up to Montana from California, I was at her house and I was just talking to her while she's unpacking boxes, and she grabbed this rock and she said, hold this in your hand for a little bit. And we had discussed that I had these things going on, and I looked at her and I said, forget it. I can't do that. Just knock it off,
Oh my God.
And,
This is coming back now. Okay, keep going. Wow.
She says, just hold on to it for a while. And I said, okay. So we're talking back and forth, and you're putting away coffee cups, and pretty soon you said, okay, what's the stone feel like? And I thought, I felt it, and I thought, oh, it's still cold. And then I was like, how's it still cold? I'm holding it in my hand, So I put my other hand over it, and it really wasn't cold. And I thought, oh, okay. So she says, yeah, so it's not cold, so shut your eyes and see what you feel. And I still use this with other people when I'm helping them move into their gifts.
Aww.
So I did shut my eyes, and I started kind of swaying back and forth. And I said, I feel like I'm moving with the waves. And you said, is it warmer, or what's the temperature out? And I said, well, it's kind of not hot, not too hot, not too cold. It's just comfortable. And then she said, well, or you said, what do you see? And I said, I see a lot of other rocks around, and they're being pounded by the waves. And you said, I think that's the point when you said, now put all that together. Where do you think that is? And I was like, Scotland.
Yep.
And
I remember that. Yep.
As soon as I said Scotland, all of this other stuff came through, and I said, you got this from your family castle. And you said, yeah. And then I said, you asked me to describe the castle, and I said, well, it looks like a Scooby-Doo movie.
Yep.
All of these portraits all the way down the wall, and you said, yeah. And if I remember right, I was able to tell you where you went in the castle too. There were
you did. It was insane. And I'm just going to dive in here for a second, because the second I met, well, obviously I have known you in other lifetimes, first and foremost. Secondly, and when we were putting the pieces together, we were like, oh my God, we were both in the Music Man in high school, because I went to West and you went to Skyview. So that was crazy that right. Crossed paths, but we needed to borrow a band for the Music Man. And so here came all these other great band kids from Skyview, a different high school in Billings.
Oh, and no. I came up from where did I go? Will James.
You were in Will James.
Yeah.
I thought you were out at Sky. Okay, we had other people coming in from Skyview too. So you were coming up from Will James. I'm at West. We had everybody feeding us bands back then. And these are all junior highs and high schools in Billings, Montana. So I'm just expressing this to let people know I have a background with Marcia here, to just kind of wove in and out of life. And the minute I reconnected with her, when I moved back up here from Los Angeles, I was in Barjan's, which is a really great metaphysical store in Billings in Montana. And Marcia came and just stood right in front of me. And she just stood there. And I looked at her and she goes, hi. And I was like, hi. And she goes, we're going to be friends. And I said, okay. It just sounded like the best idea. I'm like, fantastic. I like this chick. So speed forward, she's helping me unload my boxes in this tiny apartment. And I had a piece of a castle. And it looked like just a big square rock is what it looked like. But it was actually a piece of a gate. Some stonework from this castle that they had raised from the Egnew Castle, Agnew, in Scotland. Because I always talk about being Italian, but my dad's side of the family is Scot. It's Celt over there. Scot, and my grandma was also Welsh, and I got a lot of Celt in me. And so I knew that my friend Marcia, because I could stand in front of her and feel this channeling ability, I could feel this clairvoyance, this clairsentient, everything, this big psychic ability just dripping off of her. And I thought, oh, I wonder what she's going to freak out when she holds this big piece of castle. But I'll tell you, you described the castle, the hall of all of those portraits. There was actually in this castle, I'm not going to say I broke into the castle. There was just a great big hole in the wall. I didn't break in. I crawled through a broken part of the castle and just walked in, is what happened. It was abandoned. And so I went wandering around. It's now owned by somebody who runs it as a bed and breakfast. But at the time, I could wander around with my dad, and there was this wall in a hall of portraits, and they were probably 3 or 4 high, and it was probably 60 yards long. It was this huge, great hall. And you described that thing to a T. It was bizarre. And you were talking about places in the castle I had walked through. And I recall you, once you got on the roll of it, you were just doing it. And you just seemed to be thrilling yourself quite a bit. And I was just like, oh, girl, this all under your hood. You're fine. You got this. So, I mean, it's interesting, though, right? Because that is an attestation to when someone else believes in us, right? And doesn't limit us and says, hey, grab this and do something cool. Tell me about it. You know, and that's really cool that you use that in your work with others. You do a lot of teaching, girl. You do a lot of teaching, a lot of instructing. What's your latest teaching gig you got going on? What sphere are you working on?
Well, somebody got me all the paperwork so that I can teach for her, which would be you.
That is true. That is true. This is not a shameless plug for the Rocky Mountain Academy of Energetic Arts, online worldwide. But it is actually to say that, yes, we have invited Marcia to be an instructor at the Academy because of the fact that Marcia has taught for 20, 30 years across multiple disciplines. And you are a brilliant teacher, Marcia. I've had people that you have, what's the word? Not authorized. Reflexology, you certified them in reflexology and taught them, and you've taught in massage therapy school. You graduated at the top of your class in massage therapy school. I always say that, you guys, Marcia looks like this kickback chick who you could toss back a beer and a shot with, and all that's true, and she'll fix your motorcycle too. All of that is true. However, this woman has more professional certifications that you can't throw a rock at her and not hit some sort of professional certification. And not like, and again, this is no shade on anyone's achievements or chasing after higher knowledge, okay? Mm-hmm. Why don't we just say it like this? There are certain organizations that are a little more vetted than other organizations. How's that? Mm-hmm. So the organizations that you have received your certifications and training through are really vetted organizations. And so to have you agree to come teach at the Academy is amazing because there's like 50,000 things you can teach. So obviously, you guys just check out rmaea.com. You'll see her up there as an Academy teacher coming up. And outside of the Academy, I mean, you go all over the United States and teach, from what I remember.
I do, yeah. And I have so much fun with it. But the most fun that I have is helping people move into their own gifts. So, I try very hard not to lead people in a certain direction when I'm working with them. And I will, I do have this psychic ability, So
yeah, you do.
I do help them realize certain things that they're doing that they're not aware of. There is one person that I recently worked with, and a lot of people I work one-on-one. Sometimes I will get all grounded and teach a class and stay here for weeks, but that's really hard for me. So a lot of people I will work with one-on-one, and this was one of those cases. And she came to me and said, I'm retired, and we're probably about the same age.
Sure.
But she said, I'm retired from the government, and I'm having all these things happen to me, and I don't know what's happening. I feel like I'm going crazy again. And,
the narrative.
You're not crazy.
Yep.
So let's see what you got going on. So I sang for her, and we did just a tiny session at Barjan's, and then she scheduled longer sessions with me. And we actually worked, she and I, verified her gifts through a case that you know about and you and I have talked about. And that was the gal in Laurel.
Yes.
That got killed at the movie rental place. I can't remember which one, but
back in the day when you could rent videos.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she did just brilliantly. And I know all about this case because it turns out after all these years of agonizing and trying to get all the information, and I remember driving with you one day and I said, oh my God, I just got that I know this guy. How could I know this guy? He's actually my second cousin. So,
and we're talking about the killer. We're talking about the guy who was the killer in this very brutal, unsolved crime that went back to the 90s, right? Was it that far back, Marcia? Or was it the 2000s?
It was the 90s, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was the late 90s. And for those who are not from this area of Montana, gal was pretty brutally murdered in a pretty small town in Montana called Laurel in a movie. She worked at a movie rental place, and this guy, it was a nasty killing. And I understand there might be some of you in larger cities going, okay, well, people die, people get killed in a nasty way every day. Well, not back then in a little place like Laurel, Montana. This was really unusual. And they never did catch this person till I believe they finally caught him, though, didn't they? Or somehow they ran him down, or am I just thinking that?
He confessed.
Oh, he confessed. Okay.
He was going through AA and working the steps, and he ended up confessing because he did feel pretty bad about that, and then turns out that he tried it a couple more times too.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean.
But yeah, it went unsolved.
Wow.
It was probably close to 20 years.
It was a long time. And then so I remember that we were driving. I think we were whipping down the freeway or something. I don't remember exactly, but you were like, oh my God, I think I know this person. And I thought, well, wouldn't that just be the cat's meow here? That the psychic knows the person who killed the lady. I mean, my God. So Marcia, I'm going to segue off of that just a little bit into law enforcement. You know, I know you have a profound gift, and you really do. I mean, I am so freaking blessed, everybody out there in podcast land. I am so freaking blessed to know some of the most extraordinary people. And these people happen to be channels and psychics and astrologers. I don't know how this happened in my life, that I get to know all these freaking cool people. And Marcia, you are right at the top of the list of amazing people. Well, you're welcome. And you, throughout the time I've known you, have been really just dead pin on about locations, about the way people look, about the remote viewing aspect. Reading this castle that I actually was in off of this freaking rock that you knew zero about. You didn't know anything about it. So that is an aptitude, and the law enforcement community and the military community will call that remote viewing, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, working with law enforcement is weird, because if you can't just really walk in to a police department, right, and say, hi, I'm a psychic, I want to help. Right away, they're like, oh, you're an ambulance chasing weirdo, get out, right?
Right.
But have you ever had an opportunity to weigh in on a case for law enforcement in a way where you could provide like some psychic insight that might point them to a direction that allows them to get real world evidence? Have you ever gotten a chance to use this gift in that way?
I haven't for law enforcement, but I have for parents.
Yeah.
And so, when the victim ends up dying, I feel like it's really important for the parents to get closure. And you remember the case of Amelia going missing, and I think it was 2020.
Yeah.
Her parents didn't get any closure out of that. They did find her body, and it didn't take them nearly as long, thank heavens. but they never got any closure out of that. And I was
No.
frustrated because I couldn't seem to get more than a few details. I got good details and they were correct, but that doesn't help find out what happened to her, you know? And
Well,
so I
and
got a couple other people together, and between the three of us, we were able to channel through what actually happened. And then we got together with her mom, brought her
oh,
mom in, and we were able to get her details about what happened, who did it. Uh, got to view a lot of the Billings Underground that I am not
yeah.
comfortable about seeing. And
Ugh.
but we
Ugh.
got her some answers, and I feel like that's really important as well. Um, I'm maybe not the best to work with police because
Oh,
you know
well, I mean, well, okay. Uh,
we
I
have a
think you would do
history.
just fine. I'm just saying, I know y'all have a history. I just think you'd probably work it out. But you brought up something really important. I remember that. And I remember weighing in on pieces of that.
Hmm.
And, it's interesting because in that case with this individual, I was seeing where she had been, which doesn't help. That doesn't
Right.
help because that doesn't, you get there, she's already moved on. You were seeing some pretty awful ultimate ending stuff. And so there was no way to, it's kind of like very rarely do you get information as it's going on. I'll say someone's abducted, somebody, it's a time sensitive issue. And it's very
Hmm.
difficult to find, to really hit that pin in that space time to say, okay, right at this moment, they're in a car and they're on Highway 10 or whatever, It's
Yeah.
such an inexact science, and it's a very difficult thing to do to read on missing persons cases because you don't want to be talking out your left ear. It's every single thing you say could have a pretty serious ramification, especially if there is another individual involved. So it becomes very serious. And the times that I've worked on that one, you brought me in, I believe, on that. And there have been times where I have worked with actual law enforcement, and you can't really go and ask them. They have to ask you. They have to get to know you.
Hmm.
I've worked with families who had missing people like you do. I've worked with a lot of families with people with missing persons. I do a lot of that as volunteer work, actually. I mean,
Right.
I'm not going to charge somebody if they're looking for something. That's pretty horrible. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
had people book readings and that's what they want to talk about. And I try to dissuade people out of readings and they're like, no, 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 I want to pay you, which makes me feel weird. But I do it anyway. So when we're talking about this ability that you have, you brought up an important piece is that none of us have this omnipotent ability to just crack through space time and reach into the crystal ball. Once in a while, you might hit it if the angels need you to find that person in a timely manner for whatever reason. And all of those reasons are way above both of my and your pay grade, Marcia. Why that even has to happen. I don't even get it. I don't even get it. However, it is something to bring closure to families. So when you recognize that you were the second cousin to the guy who ended up confessing all this stuff, and I believe you said that before, I think it came out later who it was, and that's how you had figured out who the heck it was because you were like, wait a minute, oh my God, this is creepy. And then you were putting those pieces together backwards, which is not all that uncommon. It's not all that uncommon. So in your work, when you're working with bringing closure to people, I've also actually suggested you to people who are looking to have somebody come through to clear and cleanse their space that's
Hmm.
got weird juju in it. And they'll call me up and they're like, do you do that? And I'm like, I do, but my schedule is so freaky packed. So is this gal's, but she might be available right now. I don't know. And so again, would you kind of akin bringing closure to someone who lost somebody in a missing persons case and they really can't patch it all together? There's closure you bring to spirits and homes, if I'm not mistaken. That's how you clear them out of there, isn't there? Isn't that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it might be that somebody calls me and says their house is haunted, but it might be also that I just walk into a space and I'm like, oh,
Oh my
oh,
God.
here you are. Okay.
Hello.
And yeah, so I've I know I was really hesitant when I first met you, and I was asked to clear a space out in Laurel. So sometimes I'm asked to clear spaces, and I went into this place in Laurel, and I think there are some places that you could move spirits on probably forever, and you might never get them clear. And
Right.
this one was actually one of those places, and we got it better so that it was livable for the two people that were living there, but it was never absolutely clear. So yeah, now I forgot what you actually asked me, but yes.
That's okay. I was asking about closure. So
closure
like
for spirits. Yeah.
yeah. So, but I mean, that you kind of just nailed it, because bottom line is, it's hard to bring closure to some places that can't be closed up. I ran into that with the Montgomery House bed and breakfast in Kalama, Washington. You can't always get everything out when the house or the structure is built on ley lines, when it's built on underground water sources, when it's built on vortexes, when it's built on a swinging doorway that disallows that to remain closed forever. And it wouldn't surprise me, Laurel, Laurel is a small town that's just to the west of Billings, Montana. You can see it on a map, and there's an oil refinery there, and now there's a methane plant there. And Laurel, before that, it's on the Yellowstone River, was a site for many First Nations peoples and cavalry and settlers. There's a lot that happened out there. And between Laurel and Billings is an area that is very highly charged, that has a lot of ley lines that come off of the medicine wheel, actually, and connect up there to that far, far end of the Rim Rocks out there in the fancy housing development. So that shall not be named. So, I mean, it's way out there, right? And so sometimes you can't close these things up. You can't bring closure to the land, because you can bring you can move whatever spirits have come through. You can bring a temporary ease to the environment. But it's like trying to hold your finger over a waterfall and hoping to God it just stops the whole flow. It's just not going to happen. The physics aren't there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting when you go into a place like that. This particular house was built in sections. And so
oh wow.
There was the main house, and then you had to go through a bedroom to get to the back of the house and the back porch. In fact, I think there was another bedroom added on right there. And then you could go down the steps, and they had dug out the basement, and that was all it didn't go all the way forward either. So in the basement was the heater and all of that.
Right, basement things, sure.
That. And that was, interestingly enough, probably the most recently built part, but also the hardest to clear, because the energy went nowhere.
No.
Was there, and with all. So for those of you who don't know, humans are sensitive to the output of just wiring as well.
Yeah, that EMF on wiring.
Psychically sensitive to other things too, but EMF comes off of wiring. And so with all the wiring in that basement and all the other stuff, it was just a way. And underneath that basement was water as well.
There's always an underground stream to hell under these places. What is it? What is the deal? God, I'm going to write a really scary movie someday, and it's going to have a whole freaking underground river. It's going to have an underground ocean and like an underground Loch Ness monster or something. Because it's true, though. It's true. Montgomery House.
It is true. Yes.
Same thing. Had a live spring dripping in its basement. And I'm like, that is not good, you guys. This is, going to bring in weird stuff. So you do a lot with spirit life. You do a lot with ghosts. You've actually been an amazing participant in our Bridger Ghost hunts. Actually, it's called the Bridger Ghost Encounter here in Bridger, Montana, that me and Melissa Siana will put on. And you guys, if you actually are on a tour with Marcia on it, it's a blast because we're talking about all these ghosts and she's just they're talking to her too. And, you do a lot of medium work and mediumship work. And Marcia's just weighing in. Oh, yep, there she is with her cleavage hanging out over that. Well, she's wearing red. Here it is, So, I mean, you were like the added bonus for everybody, Marcia, on that tour. And I'm like, everybody, Marcia Culver, she's here till Thursday. Tip your servers. I mean... It was awesome. So and speaking of ghosts though, sister, I want to mention this. You're going to be a speaker at the Big Sky Paranormal Conference in Butte, which is Butte, Montana. It's one of my very, very favorite freaking towns. My stepdad's from Butte. I got family from Butte. It's just it's a cool place. So you guys catch Marcia speaking at the Big Sky Paranormal Conference in Butte at the Clark Chateau, the Clark Mansion. It's humongous. William Clark was a copper king. Not always the nicest person, but beautiful mansion. And that event, you guys, is September 26th through the 28th. And you can get tickets for that on Eventbrite. Just type in Big Sky Paranormal Conference and go see Marcia. And so what are you speaking on, Marcia? Or are you just kind of going to feel it in the moment and go for it?
Well, that's my favorite way.
Yes, I do. I do know this about you. Yes.
I don't know if she will she's had in the past another medium there. So
sure.
I kind of took over my cousin Bobby's spot. So Bobby has spoken there 2 or 3 years, and I went to support him, so I got to know the people. And then when he passed away, she asked me if I could, move into his slot. And so I am going to do that, and I haven't really decided what I will talk on. I imagine that, all of the things we've talked about today might come up, and
I'm sure.
And I might do some mediumship as well, because it's so much fun for me. And the Clark Chateau, she has it there on purpose. The chateau is actually the Clark guest house. So
okay,
it's really
okay.
Cool.
Ooh.
And not quite as haunted as some other buildings.
Well, that's helpful if you're actually just trying to work. I mean, yes. It's hard if you're trying to work.
For people, it's very hard if the place is already full.
That gets to be a freaking challenge, man. That's going to be exciting, though.
That term right there, place is full. So remind me of that.
Place is full. Okay.
Tell me another story. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys, one of the reasons I love to get Marcia on is she has the best stories. So keep going. Yep.
But there will be lots of people that are there from podcasts. I mean, she brings people from all around the country, so it's a fun gig. There is always the Chris Fisk. He's the local historian. You can go on a ghost tour with him, or you can go investigate with some of the rest of us. And it's just a really good time. So,
nothing about, if you guys are by Butte, Montana, it is literally a living ghost town. And I mean that with respect. Butte will not knock down its old historic buildings. They just board them up or they foam them back together. And so there is all of this massive, thriving spirit life in addition to Butte being one of the big cities in Montana. And big cities, you got to keep in mind, Billings is the largest city in Montana, who's inside the city limits is 140,000 people. Okay. So Montana is the 4th largest state in the union, and we have just over 1 million people. So when we say a big city, we're talking anywhere between 70 to 90,000 people in there.
Right.
And Butte is phenomenal for that. It's just a phenomenal place. In fact, anybody who watches the Yellowstone franchise, 1923, the Yellowstone, I think it was 1923, they filmed it in Butte and pretended it was downtown Bozeman. And so those of us from Montana cannot even handle it. We're just like,
Yes,
Because
that's true.
downtown, both, I know, we're like, you guys, oh my God, that's right by where the freaking mint, what are you doing? I partied on that street. That's Butte. But I mean, Bozeman doesn't look like that anymore. They gentrified Bozeman. They can't use it
I
as a
know.
big old timey place anymore. So, well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you're doing this. I got an opportunity at a paranormal fair years and years ago when we were shooting the first bits of, it was pre-Road Angel, and
Oh,
we were shooting The Messenger. And I got a chance to speak up there, and that event was so fun. And it was actually at Butte Tech. It was up at Butte
nice.
Tech. I know. And I was just like, wow, leave it to Butte to be like, we know we're haunted. Have a psychic fair up here at the college. It's fine. We're teaching people to be minors here. It's fine.
Right. Well, and Butte was actually bigger at the turn of the century than Billings is now. More
That is correct.
population. Yeah, and it's also got the second largest historical downtown in the nation, right behind St. Augustine, because New Orleans lost part of their historic
Oh.
downtown from hurricanes. So yeah,
Well, and the other cool thing about Butte, Montana, and I know you know, Marcia, but just for our listeners, is at one time there was more, it was the richest city in the nation. There was more money there because of the copper mines. There was a 10,000 foot tall mountain that they mined flat and then mined it 3 miles into the ground and as a pit mine. And that has filled up with water, and it's called the Berkeley Pit. And they actually have to have a boat and shotgun blasts that scares the birds and anything that would go down to the water off of the water because it's full of heavy metals from all the mining, And so Butte is just, but I mean, that sounds terrible, I know, but it's a fascinating place. Still has mine shafts that go 4,000 feet down underground. All over the city, you see these huge, they're called gallus frames, these big black frames that just loom everywhere. It is such a place to put a paranormal conference on, I'm just saying.
because we got all kinds of stuff to talk about.
That's right. You are not at a loss for things to talk about.
Exactly.
And Marcia, neither are we. I mean, you and I could just
never.
go on and on and on. And I'm being mindful of the time here. And I want to ask you a topical question, okay? Mm-hmm. As somebody who does work in all of these fields, astrology fields, especially working with the healing work that you do. I mean, you're kind of the whole package in terms of consciousness and healing and moving forward. And this is not a political question, it's a consciousness question, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's very difficult to get people to answer this question without going right to politics, because that's the low-hanging fruit, but that's not the question. The question is, as we go into this next month, which we're recording this at the very, very end of March, going into April and of 2026. And as we go into April, we are encountering, 5 or 7 really major planets that are all going into Aries in April. Mm-hmm. And people out there listening may have noticed that we are in a very hot boiling point within the country, sociologically, ideologically. Lots of people who 1,000% agree with what we're doing on a global and federal level. A lot of people who 1,000% disagree on a global and federal level. How do you think, as a medium, a psychic, as an astrologer, how do you think this April is going to play out when you feel into the timelines, when we're talking all of these major planets in Aries? Aries is the god of war. So what do you got to say about that?
Well, this is a big one. I feel like there will be, I know there will be people losing their minds about all kinds of different things. I feel like there's going to be a lot of conflict in, there's always conflict in and around in Iraq. But I feel like there's going to be more. I also feel like unfortunately, something will happen in the United States to get us to get our poop in a group. We'll put it that way. Unfortunately, and usually it takes something big for us to really come together. So I find that very unfortunate, but it needs to happen right now. Because right now we're just a scattered. We're not together on anything.
No, we're not.
And I hope that something like a world war does not happen. I hope that we can all keep our minds, but we are humans and we tend to repeat stuff from the past. And if we were going to repeat stuff from the past, this would be the time, the energy that it might happen again. So I hope that humanity can grow enough to not lose their minds completely and go into entire war.
I love that. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm seeing something pretty much what you're seeing. I'm seeing we're going to skate right up on that line where there could be an opportunity for things. It's going to blow. The keg under the ground is going to blow. And it's going to blow dirt for 200 miles in every direction as we come up into this April timeframe. And I agree that if there was going to be a big fat war, it would be in that time frame. I'm seeing us keep it just this side of crazy because, the people who have all the money, you can't really spend it on, if you're living on a crispy planet, right? There's nowhere to go. There's no more beach. You irradiated. Yeah, you irradiated the beach, man. Forget it. So, I do see that there will be flirtations with making a bigger issue out of something. And interestingly enough, it's not the United States doing it. I see another country who's coming in here who is going to be, now that we got the ball rolling, they just want to triple down and quadruple down. And I'm not exactly sure. I hope it's not Israel. So it's, there's a lot there with people trying to really escalate. But I also see a lot of our European allies stepping off of this. Even China and Russia, they're stepping off of this. They're like, ooh, everybody's kind of pounding their chest and taking their warships out for a troll right now and doing all the things. However, I think we do have a large occurrence coming in the United States. March was a death month. I was through my podcast here. I was talking about how March was going to be this. I just felt a lot of death of something, systems, people, all kinds of things. Right. And of course, this Iran war, we just opened up a can of whoop ass all over the Middle East for whatever reason. And that's not going to bode well for the United States either at all. Yeah. So as all of this, when I start to talk about stuff like this, the funny immediate reaction from some, Marcia, is, oh, well, you just don't like Republicans. I'm like, I'm talking about a war, you guys. I'm not talking about a political party. I'm talking about people dying in a war. So this isn't a political issue. It's a humanitarian issue, I feel, at this point.
And I don't know about you, but I don't hate all Republicans or all Democrats or
I don't either.
Liberals or
all libertarians. I don't really hate anybody. And I don't really think you hate anybody either. So
no.
Yeah, that narrative gets a little awkward.
Might be off their rocker, and we won't mention any names, but
but
there are always people that are perceived as more off their rocker than they actually are, because we only get a little tiny clip of what's going on. So my best advice about all of this is to keep yourself at peace and don't add to that tornado of Mars energy happening, I guess.
Yeah.
Mars energy is definitely going to happen, but Mars doesn't have to be horrible. Mars is about passion, and yes, he was the god of war, but it's about keeping our passions in check. It's not about losing our shit all the time.
Yep. That's it, sister. You're not preach. Well, it's true. God, Mars is the god of war. However, Mars can be akin to Kali, which is the goddess of destruction and rebirth. Mars isn't always a bad thing. Mars is impulsive. You cross Mars's line and you're going to get the horns. However, I do believe that, and I agree with you. I think, unfortunately, we are in a privileged position in the United States. We are attached to Canada and Mexico, who up till very recently, we would never think of either one of those countries as an adversarial neighbor. Most of us still do not. Okay. Right. So, and then we had all this ocean everywhere else. So we're kind of in this bubble in the United States of America. And I think a lot of Americans who've never left the country really don't realize this. But you've been to Europe. You get it. We are so insulated over here. And man, there are people who for generations of family have never left, have never left this country. Now, I'm not throwing shade on any of those folks. I'm simply saying, if I have never been to New York City, I am going to have no reference for what it's like to stand inside of man-made canyons where there is no sunlight except for maybe 20 minutes at noon. Okay, right. I'm just not going to have a reference for that. And so I'm not going to understand what that lifestyle would be down there. I'm not going to understand that kind of energy. It doesn't make me an idiot. It means I have no reference. And I would say we've got millions upon millions of Americans right now who have zero reference what it is to be part of a global community. I mean, we have Americans who won't even leave their state and make fun of North Dakota. And North Dakota's making fun of Montana. We're such a big country here. You could fit Europe a couple of times over in the United States with all those countries. Just plop it in here like puzzle pieces. So I think that your advice to everybody is, it's really wise. It's wise to not be thinking that we need to be trying to fix a problem that we can't fix. We can't fix global problems and we can't fix federal problems. We can vote. We can do that. We can donate to your causes or whatever your cause is. However, make your quality of life the highest quality of life that you possibly can make it. Right. Because I really believe if we do that, Marcia, then we are going to be in a position to be able to help others more. We're going to be in a position to be able to be healthier as we help others. I mean, it right. gets into, and again, I'm not saying stick your head in the sand and don't understand what's going on, but really monitor how this is hitting you and watch your mental health. That's how I feel your comment.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like the more calm we keep ourselves, the more calm we put out. That's the calm energy that we put out, so. And it's not adding to, like I said, the tornado of what's happening out there, So my other advice is to not watch national news programs constantly that
no
can
kidding.
get you into that uproar.
Yeah.
Stay informed, but don't watch it all day.
Right. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to become the person who's freaking obsessed with things. And you guys, keep in mind, I work in media. Okay. These news programs, with maybe the exception of maybe one or two, they're all making their sponsors happy. So if the sponsors lean towards a lefty audience, they're going to kind of twist the news that way. If the sponsors lean towards a right audience, they're going to kind of twist the news that way. Read. I encourage, Marcia, everybody read the newspaper. And even if the newspaper is like the AP or Reuters or Al Jazeera, read. You don't need somebody to interpret the news for you. It's news. It's not like you need an interpreter. It's not the Rosetta Stone. Okay, so it's freaking news. So that's right. Really good advice, Marcia. And just in the last few minutes we have, if you could give everybody a practice, and maybe this is a practice that folks can do at home, what would be the practice that you would give people, besides don't watch the news and don't become part of the tornado? What practice would you give people that would be very practical? We're going to tap your Capricorn and all that Taurus and all that Earth for people to do when they feel their stress level really, really raising up.
The easiest one is square breathing. Maybe I said that term differently than other people do, but in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, and then start over. You know, it's really easy. And while you're doing that, you can think of yourself as maybe really sinking into whatever you're sitting on, or your feet sinking into the earth, growing roots. I like that.
Yeah.
I like to grow the rest of the tree too, so I can feel the air and feel the sun. And put on your favorite music. Chill out, light a candle, take a bath. There's all kinds of things you can do.
Yeah.
But I would say the easiest is to just be conscious of your breath.
I love that. I love that. And you guys, this is coming from a healer who heals across multiple disciplines, okay? And she went right for the breath. Breath, stretch, sit in the bathtub, listen to some music, get a nice cup of tea or a glass of wine. You know, I'm going to accessorize the bath, of course. So,
well, yeah, we all do that.
Right? I mean, bring whatever you bring, right? So, Marcia, this has been a freaking blast. I love having you on. I can't wait to be, and I'm going to be on your shows coming up here. And you guys, Marcia hosts not one podcast, but 2. So tell us about your podcast, Marcia. I want everybody to understand where they can get more of you.
So the first one that I started myself is Enlightened Heights. And oh my gosh, I can't find where I put you on there on my schedule.
That's okay. I'm going to be coming up, you guys. I'm coming up on Enlightened Heights, and I'm super psyched about it. And Marcia, where do they find Enlightened Heights? Where can they find it?
It is live on Monday nights at 6:00 Mountain Time, 8:00 Eastern Time, and we're live on Rumble, on X, on YouTube, and BitChute, and it's through the Goldilocks, GOLDYLOCKS Productions channel. And but on all of those, you can put in Enlightened Heights too and find it. So, yeah. We've got a really cool opener that my producer did. She's amazing. Yeah.
Well, so we've got Enlightened Heights, and you guys can watch us coming up on Monday. And I can't remember the Monday date either, and I don't have my phone here. This is terrible. But I'm coming up, you guys. So check out Marcia at Enlightened Heights, and folks can follow you also, obviously, on all the socials, right? Where do you think you're the most active? Facebook, X, Instagram?
I think I'm most active on Instagram. I'm on Facebook quite a bit too, but understand that I'm going to just tell you that that's not my whole life. My whole life is not Facebook. I do not have this glorious life that has never had anything bad happen.
Oh, God. I know,
right? I don't put out the bad things because I don't want to concentrate on them. That is not the whole deal. So Danielle will be on the 20th of April.
That's right. I'm going to be on after everything blew to hell. We can talk about it. It's going to be so exciting. Oh my God.
Yes.
So, oh my God. So that's Enlightened Heights, you guys. And then also you have another podcast that you do called The Mile, and tell us about that.
Yes. So that's the podcast that I took over from my cousin. And until next Wednesday, we have been on, we're switching platforms, so we have only been on a conference call, but we had some technical difficulties, and the show got lost. this last show that we recorded. So
Oh,
my
God.
wonderful friend Lisa Knowlton will come on again on April 1st, and that will be our first live show, and it will be on all the same channels, still through Goldilocks Productions, and it is 20 questions to my guest about the deep things in life. You know, I make them think a little bit, and I make them dig a little deeper, and some people actually do glaze over a little, I will say. But most people dig in deep, and we talk about
I'm
the
sorry.
things that are really important. So
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. No, you're right. I laughed. I'm sorry. It's just
it's
when you
okay.
said glaze over, a lot of people aren't used to being asked about really deep, heavy things, are they?
Right, and even metaphysical people, I've made them think about things and remember things from their childhood, you know, and
Wow.
I love that. I think I'm all into the getting to the depths of things, you know.
Yeah.
I got Pluto all over my chart.
Well, and that's one of the things that's really cool about you as a personal friend is you
Yeah.
do not shy off when things get rough. You know, you were
No.
one of the very few people when I first moved back here. I could count on one hand, or maybe one hand and some extra fingers here. The people who it was a very difficult time for me when I first moved back, and you were just there. You're like, hey, let's hang up some curtain rods. I'm gonna bring my drill over. Hang on to the drill. You might need it. You know,
Right.
for as esoteric as you can be, you're incredibly tough and practical and loyal and kind. And that was true. And that's something that I think makes a really powerful healer and just such a tremendous friend. So you guys, you're going to want to catch the mile. You're going to want to listen to these questions that Marcia comes up with. You're going to want to listen to me on the mile and me and Marcia on Enlightened Heights through Goldilocks Productions coming up. And if you want to know more about Marcia, you can go to Marcia Colver. Then that's MarciaColver.com, MarciaColver.com, and you can find her socials, and you can get readings, and you can book with her to get healings and see where she's going to be sticking a nickel in her shoe and heading off to sing to make the world a better place. So Marcia, thank you so much for coming on, girl. I appreciate you making time for us today.
Thank you. It's been super fun as always.
It is. It has been super fun. And everybody listening, I will see you next podcast.